The Apple Watch Ultra 3 isn't just another upgrade, it's the moment Apple quietly slipped survival tech into a luxury smartwatch. One wrist flick, and you're messaging from the middle of nowhere without a cell tower in sight. Sounds futuristic? It's happening now, and the consequences are massive. Because if you choose wrong between this and Garmin's Fenix 8 Pro, you're not just wasting money, you could be gambling with the only lifeline you'll have off the grid. On paper, the Ultra 3 looks like a sleek piece of Apple jewelry titanium frame, bright OLED screen, whisper lightweight for its size. But underneath the polish, it hides features that edge into Garmin's wilderness territory. Two-way satellite messaging, dive-ready sensors, and health tracking that borders on medical grade. The catch? That elegance comes with a tether charging every few days, a reliance on the Apple ecosystem, and durability that feels premium but not invincible. Garmin, by contrast, doubles down on tank-like build and month-long endurance at the cost of feeling like you strapped a small brick to your arm. So here's the twist. For the first time ever, both brands are invading each other's turf, leaving buyers stuck in the middle. Do you gamble on Apple's future-forward ecosystem or Garmin's battle-tested longevity? Because in just a moment, we're pulling apart the very criteria that decide which wrist you can trust when comfort, health, and survival all collide. But before we jump into that, hit like and subscribe so you never miss the next big reveal, the gadget that could flip your buying decision overnight. Compact specs and flashy ads don't mean much if the watch dies when you need it most. That's the trap too many buyers fall into. Both the Apple Watch Ultra 3 and Garmin Fenix 8 Pro look like premium gear, but in 2025, the real question is not who has more features, it's which ones actually save you money, time, or peace of mind. Because paying for extras you'll never use is one mistake. Trusting the wrong metrics when your health or safety is on the line is another level of risk entirely. Here's what buyers should demand this year. Battery life is no longer just hours, it's whether you can last a weekend hike or an ultra-marathon without carrying a power bank. Displays aren't just about sharpness, they're about readability in direct sunlight, underwater, or in the middle of the night. Comfort matters when you're wearing something every day, whether that means a featherlight titanium build or a rugged case that won't crack on impact. And then there's software, not just apps but long-term updates, subscription costs, and whether the ecosystem fits the devices you already own. But the real wild card is how these watches blend roles. Health companion versus survival tool, daily smartwatch versus expedition computer. That line used to be clear, now it's blurry, and that's what makes the Ultra 3 versus Fenix 8 Pro debate so intense. Next, we'll strap on Apple's titanium contender and see how far it can stretch beyond its comfort zone. The Apple Watch Ultra 3 doesn't scream toughness the way Garmin does, yet the moment you strap it on, you realize it's more than a lifestyle gadget. Apple stretched the screen edge to edge without inflating the case, giving you a brighter, more fluid display that feels oversized but never bulky. At just over 61 grams, it vanishes on your wrist faster than expected, and the titanium shell keeps it looking refined even when you're dragging it through salt water or trail dust. What makes the Ultra 3 stand out is how it blends ordinary with extraordinary. One moment it's your notification hub, Apple Pay wallet, and fitness tracker. The next, it's locking onto satellites to send messages from a dead zone canyon. Apple added preventive health smarts too, from blood pressure trending to sleep apnea alerts, turning it into something closer to a personal clinic on your wrist. The trade-offs are clear though, battery life that taps out after a few days and the need to stay inside Apple's walled garden if you want the full experience. And yet, for anyone living inside that ecosystem, it feels seamless, like a natural extension of your phone and Mac, rather than a separate tool. The question is, can that same ease of use match up against a device built for grit first and comfort second? That's where Garmin storms in, and the contrast is impossible to ignore. The Garmin Fenix 8 Pro doesn't bother with elegance, it wears its bulk like armor. At 95 grams and up to 51 millimeters across, this isn't a watch you forget on your wrist. It feels heavy because it's meant to remind you that you're carrying a tool built for the wild. Its transflective display thrives in sunlight, making it just as visible on a glacier as on a desert ridge. And if you splurge on the micro-LED edition, you get brightness levels so absurd they can double as an emergency torch. Garmin's philosophy has always been endurance over polish, and the Fenix 8 Pro leans into it harder than ever. With expedition mode stretching to more than 40 days, it's designed for trips where power banks aren't even an option. Add in advanced training metrics, VO2 max, recovery scores, hill tracking, and you get a system that doesn't just log your workouts, it predicts your performance with eerie accuracy. But complexity is the cost. Setup demands patience, subscriptions add up fast, and the sheer learning curve can intimidate first-time buyers. That's why the Fenix appeals most to people who live in extremes, ultramarathoners, mountaineers, or anyone who values survival over sleekness. Yet, even Garmin knows endurance alone isn't enough anymore, which is why they've started dipping into smart features Apple used to own. And that's where the real battle begins, because both companies are now invading each other's territory. Apple treats the Ultra 3 like a health lab strapped to your wrist. It monitors blood pressure trends quietly in the background, catches irregular rhythms before they become emergencies, and even flags sleep apnea that many users never knew they had. Add fertility tracking, refined sleep scoring, and mental health assessments, and suddenly this watch feels less like a gadget and more like a wellness partner that never clocks out. Garmin's Fenix 8 Pro doesn't try to be your doctor, it's your coach. It measures training readiness, tracks stress through heart rate variability, and calculates recovery times so you know when to rest instead of burning out. Body battery and respiration stats give athletes cues on when to push harder or ease off. These aren't features aimed at diagnosing conditions, but at squeezing the most out of every training cycle. That's the split. Apple focuses on keeping you alive longer, while Garmin sharpens you for peak performance. But when the sweat starts pouring and the trails get rough, the gap between these philosophies becomes even more obvious, and that's exactly where the real test starts. Apple built the Ultra 3 to feel like a personal trainer who never takes a break. Its adaptive coaching adjusts in real time, encouraging you when your pace dips and warning you when your heart rate spikes. Dual-frequency GPS nails your route even in city canyons, and swimmers, cyclists, and divers all get dedicated tools that turn workouts into structured progress. For casual athletes, this feels like a complete fitness partner tucked into a sleek smartwatch. Garmin counters with raw performance analytics that speak directly to serious competitors. Training load metrics break down aerobic and anaerobic balance. Endurance scores predict race outcomes within seconds, and hill score evaluations prepare you for terrain that punishes weaker runners. Paired with wide third-party app compatibility, Garmin doesn't just log data, it turns every workout into a science experiment with results you can act on. The difference is striking. Apple simplifies training into approachable coaching, while Garmin digs deep into the numbers that athletes crave. But all of that only matters if the watch can actually stay alive through the grind, and the battery showdown tells a story most buyers aren't ready for. Apple's Ultra 3 stretches to about 3 days on standard use, and its fast charge trick 12 hours of juice from a 15-minute top-up means you're rarely stranded if you're near an outlet. But stretch that into a multi-day trek or an ultramarathon, and the constant recharging starts to feel less like a feature and more like a leash. For travelers who want freedom, that limitation can be a breaking point. Garmin's Fenix 8 Pro plays in a different league entirely. In smartwatch mode, you're looking at nearly a month of uptime, and even with continuous GPS tracking, it keeps going for days, where most rivals bow out in hours. The solar and expedition modes add even more cushion, making it the kind of device you can trust when outlets disappear for weeks at a time. It's heavy, yes, but the confidence of not packing a power bank changes how you plan adventures. That's why battery life isn't just another spec, it's the silent deal maker or deal breaker depending on your lifestyle. And once price tags and subscriptions enter the conversation, the gap between these two watches grows even sharper. On paper, the Ultra 3 starts at a friendlier $799, but that's just the entry ticket. Add Apple Care, cellular fees, and satellite messaging after the free trial, and ownership easily climbs past $1,200 in a few years. Still, for iPhone users, the seamless ecosystem integration makes that price feel like a polished package. Health, fitness, and communication all tied neatly into one device you'll use every day. The Fenix 8 Pro flips the equation. Its upfront cost starts high at around $1,199, but the real sting comes later. Subscriptions for satellite messaging, LTE, and premium apps stack up quickly, pushing total cost beyond $2,500 for long-term users. That doesn't mean it isn't worth it. If your life depends on rugged endurance and professional-grade training metrics, this watch pays for itself in reliability where Apple simply can't compete. So here's the bottom line. If you're chasing longevity and survival-ready tools, Garmin is the clear pick. If you're anchored in Apple's world and want the most advanced consumer health monitoring wrapped in sleek design, the Ultra 3 wins. Both are marvels, but the smarter choice depends entirely on where your life takes you next.